circulatory system is a high volume system. You've got to recirculate the blood all the time. We are not snakes. Right? So if it's a high volume system, the deal is it has to get back to the heart just as fast as it leaves, every single second. That doesn't happen. You run 5 steps, you go plop, because there's no blood left to do that. So if you're a fight or flight, you're going to increase all this blood out here. Boy, the venous return has to go fast. Okay. If I don't have any pressure gradient down here in the fingers, because I have it up here and you used it up, how does it get back? How does it get back? And you'll see in any modern book on physiology, they virtually never talk about venous return, and they just don't talk about these things. They just skip it. And they skip it because they don't have an answer, and the publishers won't publish it if they say something that's empty. And you say, well, how does this get back? Oh, it's capillary action. It's adhesion of molecules. It's changing the chest, the ridiculous theories that it's easily to show they aren't there. And the deal is, in terms of Western structural science, there is no explanation as to how it gets back. And you know how you measure gravity, right? No one in the world ever measured gravity. You measure everything else and there's something that's left, and you call that gravity. We don't go nuts with that. It doesn't drive us crazy. We don't feel that God is wanting or something with gravity, right? Well, you measure all the pressures on fluid in the body, you come out with a big gap. So we're going to call that one part of what we call chi. This is energy associated with life that we don't understand very well. Right? We understand it as well as gravity if we give ourselves a minute. And the interesting thing is that you can measure just in terms of venous return how much energy needs to be explained. The arterial system also, I think, clearly relates to chi as well. Unless you want to, we won't get into that. Choosing which place artery it should go and how you reduce flow from one artery to another. The autonomic nervous system is not a way to do that. It's just peripheral resistance is a terrible way to reduce central pressure. So you have all this circulation. The blood follows the chi in your book, right? Well, that's good physics. It's good physics. And you say, I don't know what the chi is. Well, okay, the blood follows something, but I don't know what it is. Exactly. Science is when you say, I don't know. Engineering and technology is when you know when you're trying to perfect it. You have to be willing to say, I don't know, to do what all the classics call scientific method. You say, I don't know, and then you have a hypothesis, or you say, I don't know, and you have to have a lot of basic research before you get to the hypothesis. That's it. That's right in every physics book. It's clear as crystal. There's no way of explaining venous return in any physics book you ever see. But the deal is, if you get one of these books on how to teach physiology, they tell you in the book, don't leave any room for God. Don't leave any things that aren't explained. And they mention various examples. Because we don't want the God types to get in and say there's something vital about the body and so on like that. And books written before a certain time, they all assumed there was life energy, and they didn't assume they understood it very well. The religion assumes that, the writers assume that. And it's a shame that since this has to do with what acupuncturists worked work with, that acupuncture schools, people are rather frightened of this. Behaviors say they are, I hope they aren't. But I've heard a lot of teachers say to people, what will happen if you say that? And I'm frightened of the knowledge. What will happen if you say that? Truth, not much. There's a second part to all this. DNA. You've heard of DNA, right? DNA is supposed to contain the information that helps, puts together the body. When I was in school, all the embryo and all these remarkable things, and we had Moody science films. All that plant is so fancy, only God could have done it. So they were worried. And so finally you have the DNA. DNA now codes what parts of the body, and it's the code that makes me put the puzzle. So if you think about it for 10 minutes, and I'm sure the people who work with DNA a lot know this. It's nothing to do with how smart you are. It has to do with whether you're looking at blind spots or not, and how much you'd be punished if you did. The problem with DNA is that DNA makes proteins, right? Patentable units. So you say, okay, the body is full of proteins and so on and so forth. Proteins do a lot of things, that's right. Proteins don't do a lot of things too. How the proteins could figure out how to make the retina, I think it's a little difficult. How the proteins would figure out the little bones in the ear, it's a little difficult. You're asking the proteins to do things that they aren't very good at. Why would the protein want 5 fingers and not 6 fingers? Why would it care? Something is interested in these things. And again, this has a tremendous amount. These things liberate acupuncture if you let them. You have leaf, right? You can do what they call Kirlian photography. You have this little radiation, and you say, oh, well, the radiation is there because you have a lot of charged particles moving in the leaf and so on. What the heck? Should be a little radiation with everything like that, correct. Cut the leaf in half. Radiation stays. Now you do something else. You look at the salamander, the one that grows the eggs to lay back. And you say, oh, you know what happens? The radiation comes out first, and then the leg. Why is that? You have people who get their leg amputated. Sometimes the radiation is still there for a while. Why is that? And you come out with the remarkable theory that maybe the radiation is primary and the leaf is secondary. And all this leads to acupuncture is wow. Then the question is, of course, all this baby, we know you have these 2 cells and they share the DNA and all that. How else does the baby learn? Well, you read about medical descriptions of pregnancy and all that. What you're going to read is how the pregnant woman can do bad. Right? The woman did bad, she ate bad, did bad, whatever like that. You never read how she can do good. And babies like to be hugged. They're hugged in the belly. Little children afterward need to be hugged. The mother is giving the kid an access to her blueprint, her energy blueprint in the body. It's the only place it could come from. Something ought to come from the mother other than pee and calcium and the teeth and all that.